when we jumped to calculators and then from calculators to spreadsheets, like that transition, or from libraries to Google search. What was the mindset at that time when you're thinking, oh my God, we're going to get replaced? Accountants are going to be replaced because of the spreadsheets, which they didn't. Now they might be, but before they weren't.
Still impacted that whole industry, because you'd have jobs of people whose job it was like build out those spreadsheets manually with a calculator. And while accountants weren't replaced entirely, I'm sure a lot of, that work went away, and it was just left with the more sort of nuanced, high-level accountants. Overall sort of figures.
Yeah, I guess you could, because you're able to gather large data sets and do it faster. Maybe that's the onset of, obviously like the quant trading with stocks and everything. They can do it so fast, rapidly, and now it's really just all these kind of bots that are helping you trade, and you're just developing the algorithms and detecting patterns. That's what came into fruition from that. And maybe with, that's how something is going to, with AI, it's going to evolve some other industries into a much faster, bigger data sets. And maybe, like you said, maybe just a mundane task goes away, and now it's something far more complex that we didn't even think of, because it's outside the box, whether it's space exploration, finding, other asteroids or planets that have minerals or something like that. That's very hard to do, and it takes so much computation power. But now with AI, we can all kind of like, it's almost like panning for gold or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, like throughout human history, this has just constantly come up where there's an established way of doing something, and then some new technology comes along that totally upheaves that entire sort of industry. And as humans, we always bounce back and find sort of new ways of doing things. Previously a farm would need 1,000 workers on it, and now you can have 10 machines and 10 workers. I mean, we're still here, we're still, okay, not the whole world is doing okay, but we're not worse shape than we were. Quality of life generally is improving, even though all these things have happened and changed, and people have lost their jobs over the centuries because of it all. And human quality of life is getting better. We're all smarter and eating better and healthier. And so, if you look at that trajectory, although it can seem scary now, long term, I still think it'll work out. Humans do find a way of just sort of finding other things to do and focusing on that instead and innovating.
It may be through things like universal income as well. Like there may be a completely different economic landscape that countries need to follow to actually keep it balanced.
Definitely. The problem is that right now we're moving very slowly. AI is moving so fast, but humanity is moving slowly. Like a lot of the time, when I talked about the sort of, changes in industry and changes the way things have happened. There's a slow process, right? So farm work is getting replaced by machines. That wasn't done in 2 or 3 years. That was done, for 2 or 3 centuries probably over time. So very slow adjustment that, people could find other things to do. Whereas with AI, it's happening so fast. And I think our legislation is so far behind our way of thinking about life. Like you just said, universal income. I mean, that's going to have to happen. But we're so far behind that. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, I was just thinking about the education system now too. Our education system is so antiquated. We're still making kids memorize lists and memorize, information. It's like that should have been out like 20 years ago with computers and storage. Everyone's carrying around phones with the world's knowledge at their fingertips. Why make people memorize like just pages and pages of how to do things? It's pointless. So just from looking at our overall society, we move slow. Like we're still teaching kids now that we taught them like 50 years ago, almost in many ways. Same fundamental sort of way of teaching. And it's just like, we're so slow in that regard, never mind legislation to sort of keep up with how AI is going to change things. So there might be a bit of a dip, I think, when, things get taken over by AI and by robotics, and we're just a bit slow to catch up with it. And then, there'll be drama and people have to we have got to make these big decisions. And I think, big legislation will get pushed through then and society will change. But I think it's going to happen pretty quick, and there's going to be a bit of turmoil probably before everyone bounces back after that. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think it's a good cause for us to become more spacefaring civilization at that point.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll have to expand, otherwise we'll be all over each other, and there'll be AI actual wars fighting with all these robots from Boston Dynamic and iRobot movie.
Exactly.